Hi everyone, and welcome to a video where I talk about Armour, specifically Armour in the Empire system. Now, if you're a regular player of Empire, this is probably not aimed at you, but if you're looking to get into the system, then hopefully I can explain a few things, because Armour, it can be complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the different kinds of armour that you can wear and what the benefits of each one are, and more importantly what you actually have to do in order to get the benefit of armour. So let's start off with, how much armour do I actually have to wear? In order for Empire armour to count, it must cover your torso and one other location. So you could wear a helmet and that would give you full coverage, or you could cover both arms or both legs. But limbs, like arms and legs, can be split into two different locations, upper and lower. So as long as you have a combination that covers your torso and at least two other limbs, that will count as armour for you. So that's how much extra coverage you need to be wearing in order for the armour to provide you with extra hits in the Empire system. In the Empire system there are three different kinds of armour. You've got light armour, medium armour and heavy armour. Now there is one extra kind of armour called mage armour, but that's slightly more complex and doesn't follow the same set of rules, so that would need a different video on its own, and I'll get onto that as soon as I can. Armour in Empire gives you extra hits. Without armour, a standard character who hasn't done anything to improve their hit point total can be hit twice before they start to die. When you're reduced to 0 hits, you don't drop dead immediately. There is a window in which you can be healed, and this starts at 3 minutes, but you can increase that by spending character points or having magic cast on you or taking certain potions. And so within that 3 minutes, if you get healed, not dead. All good stuff. Now it can be reduced to as little as 30 seconds by being poisoned, so try to avoid that. So each armour provides you with extra hits, and some kinds of armour can protect you from the special blows such as cleave or impale. And again, I'll be doing a video about all of the special calls in Empire, but it's more complex than I can really get into just in one video. So I'll go on to explain each kind of armour. Light armour is padding, leather or a similar non-animal derived product that are between 1.5 and 3mm thick. So your normal weight clothing, leather trousers, leather jacket isn't going to cut that. So they're clothing, they're not armour. It doesn't matter if it's got rivets or studs in it, that won't change the armour value. So we can leave that studded leather back in D&D, okay? So light armour gives you 2 extra hits, but it doesn't protect you from any of the special calls that exist in the system, such as cleave or impale. Medium armour. Medium armour is leather or again a similar non-animal product that is 3mm or more thick. But here we start to get into other kinds of materials. So you've got polyurethane or plastic armour. Now that counts as medium. Now I'm not talking about sort of like the kind of plastic armour you find in a toy store or the sort of novelty armour that you get in a fancy dress costume. What we're talking about here is more the kind of armour that gets used in film or TV productions. And by the magic of editing, I'll put some on now. Ta-da! Okay, so let's move this enormous beard out of the way. And this is a semi-rigid chest plate made by a company called Norton Armories. So it's reasonably thick. It's got some give to it, but it's not flippy flappy floppy. Yeah, somebody better hashtag that. So this is medium armour. Now there are some kinds of metal armour that are also classified as medium. So if you've got a metal armour made of titanium or aluminum or aluminium, depending on which side of the pond you come from, that would count as medium only. Now, to make things more complicated, there are some kinds of steel armour that only count as medium. So these would be the very fine metal mesh armours that are similar to those used by butchers. So butcher's mail. Any mail where they are substituting the steel rings for a non-metal alternative, such as neoprene or plastic. And lastly, steel mail where the construction is of one large ring connected by 4 small rings. And this is sometimes referred to as ring mail. This is by far the most confusing class of armour, as there are so many different types. But if in doubt, the only official way is to contact Profound Decisions for a ruling. Medium armour gives you 3 extra hits and will protect you from the special call of cleave. As I said, I'll cover weapon calls in more depth in another video, but it's important to take note that even if your armour is going to protect you from the call, you must still take the hit off of your total. Okay, on to heavy armour. Heavy armour is metal armour. It's made of steel or a similar weight material such as brass or bronze. The armour can be of mail or solid plates or a series of plates. Now this category encompasses a lot of different kinds of armour. So you've got mail armour, scale, lamellar, brigandine and splintered armour. But again, if in doubt, contact Profound Decisions and get an official ruling on what your armour counts as. Heavy armour will give you 4 extra hits, and it protects you against not only cleave but also impale. Again, remember, if you get hit on the armour and it protects you against the call, you must still take 1 hit off of your hit total. Now let's look at some slightly more complex things with armour and answer some frequently asked questions. I'm wearing a mix of armour. What does it count as? Well, again, this depends. If you're wearing enough armour to give you the extra hits, it all depends on what armour you're wearing and where that armour is. So if I'm wearing a metal breastplate, but I'm wearing thick leather arms that are full length, I've got enough coverage for it to count as armour. But because the heavy only covers my torso and not the one other location, in this case my arms, I won't get the heavy armour for it. What will happen though is the heavy will still count as one armour category lower for the purposes of coverage. So I will get medium armour. So I will get the hits of medium armour for wearing that. However, my chest has still got heavy armour on it. So whereas my arms are protected from cleave, but not from impale, my chest is still protected from cleave and impale. So in the same example, if instead of a breastplate I was wearing just a padded sleeveless vest and I had the thick leather arms on, I would only get I wouldn't get the medium, I would only get light coverage, but my arms would still be protected against cleave. So I hope that clears that up, because that is one of the more confusing things. Now, to go on, you don't even have to be wearing enough armour to get the extra hits in order to get the protection from special calls. I could just be wearing a breastplate and nothing else. So doesn't give me any extra hits, but what it does mean is I don't have to take the extra effects of a cleave or an impale that hits me in the chest. So yeah, I can wear a breastplate wandering around, won't get any extra armour, but if I do get shot or somebody he comes up and cleaves me in the chest, I won't have to take the extra effects of that blow. So okay, what happens if I swap armour? You know, if I take some hits, if I take my chainmail off and I put on some plate, do I go back up in value? No, you don't. If you have taken any damage while wearing armour and you subsequently take that armour off, you are on 1 hit point until you receive healing. Similarly, if I change armours, so if I take off my mail and I put on my leather armour, if I've taken any damage, I do not get the hit point benefit of that armour until I get healed. I will still get the protective against special calls value from it, but I will still be considered to be on 1 hit. So I hope that clears some of it up. Again, if I'm wearing a mix of armour, say I've got my steel breastplate on and my thick leather arms, I'm only wearing medium. But suddenly, if I put on a helmet that's made of metal, I jump up to heavy armour because I've suddenly fulfilled the requirements for wearing heavy armour. So I get the 4 hits and the protection from cleave and impale. One of the things that it's important to note in the Empire system, whether you're wearing armour or not, cleaves or impales or any other special blows that hit you in the head, you do not take the special component. You only take the 1 hit point. And it's an anomaly, but it's basically to prevent people constantly going for the head. While the head is a valid location in Empire, they want to discourage people from targeting the head, and so that's why it's got the ruling that blows to the head do not have any special effects. So I hope that was informative, but with any luck we'll get on and do a video about the special weapon blows, but in order to demonstrate that I need to find something a bit larger than a room in a house, and it's December when I'm recording this, so it's not necessarily conducive to going out into a field and demonstrating falling over a lot. So hopefully if I can get a big enough indoor space, I'll film that sometime soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.